Yes, so in our previous video, we have finished up till the internal layers, and the next part of after internal layers is the nasopharynx. Okay, after basically it is pharynx. After internal layers, there is pharynx. Pharynx is of two types, that is nasopharynx and laryngopharynx. Nasopharynx means which is part of pharynx which is near to the nasal chamber, and laryngopharynx is the part of pharynx which is near to the larynx. Okay, hence the name laryngopharynx and nasopharynx. So after pharynx, pharynx is just a space where, or it's a common space which where our mouth as well as the nasal chamber both opens into this common chamber. That is pharynx. So now let's come to larynx. Larynx is also known as voice box. It is also known as Adam's apple. Now this it is lined with, this larynx is lined with ciliated columnar epithelium. Ciliated means, columnar epithelium means it has a column like this is ciliated columnar epithelium. Like this is the basement membrane, this is column like okay, this is columnar epithelium, and when this columnar epithelium has cilia present on it, so it is known as ciliated columnar epithelium. So this the inner this larynx, the inner membrane or inner side of the larynx is all lined with, it's made up of columnar. This larynx is made up of ciliated columnar epithelium. Now this vocal cords are longer in males. Now what is vocal cords? Basically when we cut this larynx, okay, when we cut it horizontally, okay, if this way we cut it, so what we can find is, we can see here this a space that is known as glottis, which is guarded, surrounded by vocal cords. What are vocal cords? These are elastic fibers which is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. These vocal cords are made up of stratified squamous epithelium, and in between these two vocal cords there is a space present which is known as glottis. Now these vocal cords in males are longer, okay, and how much it is? It is of 2.5 centimeter length. These vocal cords are of 2.5 centimeter, whereas in females it is smaller, okay, and that's why due to the presence of longer vocal cords in males, the males have a high pitched voice. That is, their voice is heavy. That heaviness of their voice is because of the presence of this longer vocal cords. Okay, as well as their vocal cords are, or not their vocal cords, basically their voice box or larynx is visible from outside. Some of them it is present here, and some of them it is so prominent that it can be clearly seen from outside. A swollen part can be seen from outside. So now if we talk about, this was like what larynx is made up of. It is lined with ciliated columnar epithelium. When we cut, we can see vocal cords and glottis. Now apart from this, this larynx is made up of 4 types of cartilages. If you remember, I told that earlier, the trachea has rings of cartilages. And why do trachea have rings of cartilages? To prevent it from collapsing when there is less air in it. So if there is less air pressure in it, the trachea gets collapsed. So to prevent it from getting collapsed, cartilages, there are rings of cartilages present in trachea. So there are 4 cartilages which are present in trachea. That is thyroid, cricoid and arytenoid. Now you must be thinking like, ma'am told 4 cartilages but she told name of only 3 cartilages. It is because thyroid cartilage is one, cricoid cartilage is 1 and this arytenoid cartilages are 2. 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4. Total 4 cartilages are present. Thyroid is 1, cricoid is 1, arytenoid is 2. Now this thyroid cartilage is the biggest cartilage and arytenoid are the smallest ones. Okay. So this thyroid, from anterior part of the thyroid arises a bilobed structure called epiglottis. Like this is a thyroid cartilage, this big one is the thyroid cartilage, and from its anterior front part arises a bilobed, two lobes are there, arises a bilobed structure called as epiglottis. And this epiglottis, what is the role of epiglottis? It helps in closing this glottis, it helps in closing the trachea it helps in closing, this epiglottis helps in closing the trachea, okay, when it helps in closing the windpipe when we eat food. And why does it close us? So that the food by chance does not enter our windpipe, because if food will enter our windpipe we may even choke and die. So to prevent the food entering into the windpipe, this epiglottis acts as a flap-like structure. This acts as a flap-like structure which covers the windpipe when we are eating food, because pharynx is a common passage for both food pipe and windpipe. So we breathe air as well as we take food. When we are doing both the things simultaneously, it is all going into a common passage, that is food, and air is going into a common passage, that is pharynx. So there is possibility that food that we are taking should actually go into food pipe, but by chance it may go into windpipe as well, because these two pipes are placed very close to each other. Like for consider this green one is the food pipe and this black one is the windpipe. So on this windpipe that flap is present. So when we are eating, this flap remains, epiglottis closes the windpipe, and when we are not eating, it again gets opened. Okay, so this is what it acts like, a flap-like structure for closing the windpipe when we are eating food. Now, about this trachea we will study in our next video, but for now you understand just actually where epiglottis arises from, where actual position of epiglottis, that is, it arises from the anterior part of the thyroid cartilage. And remember, this thyroid cartilage is the cartilage which is present in larynx and is the biggest one. It provides support. It is present on the front, upper and lower side, as well as this cricoid. Next is cricoid. Cricoid is a ring-like cartilage which is present only on the lower side. And this third one is arytenoid, which is the smallest cartilage. It is triangular shape and it is present at the back side of the larynx. Okay, now how this is arranged, how this thyroid, cricoid and arytenoid is arranged, that I will be showing it to you. See students, this is how these cartilages are placed. This larynx forms a circular, it's a tube. Okay, the cartilages, these cartilages are present in the ring form. See how this is how it is present. Okay, now if I show you, if I open it up and show you, you can see here this thyroid cartilage is the biggest cartilage. It forms a I-shaped structure. Here thyroid cartilage is present, here thyroid cartilage is present, as well as here also thyroid cartilage is present. So it is present, it forms a I-shaped structure, this much and this, as whereas at the, that's why it is written here, as you can see, it is present on the front. This is the front, okay, and when we fold it, so this is the front in which thyroid cartilage is present. Then upper side, this upper side is entirely thyroid cartilage, as well as the lower, this lower, at the lower side also there is thyroid cartilage. Now Where is this cricoid present? Below the thyroid cartilage, below the thyroid, it is ring-like. It is present in only the lower part. So here is the cricoid cartilage. Just below this thyroid, this lower portion of thyroid cartilage is the cricoid cartilage. And at the sides are the arytenoid, two arytenoid cartilages, because when we fold it, see this how it is present at the top, in the front, at the upper, at the front, and in the lower. In the lower part there is thyroid cartilage. Then below the thyroid cartilage is a ring like cricoid cartilage, and at the back side, if you can see the back side, see at the back side there is two arytenoid cartilages, this one and this two. These two arytenoid cartilages are present at the back side. So this how is the arrangement of these four cartilages in the larynx. Yes, what happens, how the sound is produced. We are telling larynx, that larynx is the voice box. We have seen the structure of larynx, like what larynx was made up of. Now we'll see how larynx produces sound, why it is known as sound box or voice box. See what happens, during inhalation, vocal cords are relaxed, glottis is wide. And when we inhale air, that time vocal cords are relaxed. See, they are in a relaxed position, and the glottis is wide, okay. But what happens when we exhale, that is when we breathe out, so due to contraction of laryngeal muscles, glottis gets narrow, okay. That is, this is all surrounded, this entire structure is surrounded by the laryngeal muscles, okay. Basically larynx is made up of laryngeal muscles and cartilages, okay. So laryngeal muscles which is supported by cartilages, okay, four cartilages. So now, and inside the larynx, this glottis and vocal cord is present. When you see from outside, you can see only laryngeal muscles and cartilages, and when we see the inner part of it, then we can see the space inside, like this larynx is a hollow tube, okay. So the space inside the larynx is known as glottis, and this glottis is guarded by or surrounded by vocal cords. So when we are inhaling air, when we are breathing in, this vocal cords are relaxed, as so glottis is also wide. But when we are exhaling, when we are breathing out, so due to contraction of the laryngeal muscles, what happens, basically you all must be knowing that when we exhale out, when we breathe out, so what happens, the diaphragm rises, the lungs gets contracted, along with the lungs this larynx also get contracted, and due to contraction of larynx, basically the laryngeal muscles getting contracted, the glottis becomes narrow, okay. So just remember, when we inhale, if all the parts of our respiratory system enlarges in size, they become relaxed. But when we exhale, everything gets contracted. Diaphragm rises up, lungs gets contracted, laryngeal muscles gets contracted, and due to contraction of laryngeal muscles, this vocal cords get contracted, and so when vocal cords get contracted, this glottis becomes, see, it is getting contracted, so glottis becomes narrow. So now it is so wide, when during inhalation it remains wide, but during exhalation, this, due to contraction of the laryngeal muscles, this vocal cords also get, basically due to contraction of the laryngeal muscles, this glottis becomes narrow, and as glottis becomes narrow, the sound is produced due to vibration of this vocal cord starts vibrating. So when we are breathing out, what is happening? When we are breathing in, everybody is in a relaxed state. everything is relaxed. That is, vocal cords are relaxed. When we are inhaling, vocal cords are relaxed, the glottis is wide. But actual sound is produced when we are exhaling, when we are breathing out. So what happens, due to contraction of laryngeal muscles, which is present around the sides, due to contraction of laryngeal muscles, the glottis becomes narrow, and when glottis becomes narrow, and from that narrow glottis, when air is rushing out, so it vibrates this vocal cords, and this, due to vibration of this vocal cords, sound is produced. This is how, that's why this larynx is known as voice box. So with this we are finished with larynx. So in our next video we'll be studying about trachea, which is the third part of our, or we won't say third part, this is the next part of our respiratory tract, trachea.